Welcome to Funded by Plus Impact. Today we're live at the Blocks Up recording studio, and we're joined by Michael Haase, CEO of Plant Jammer. So first of all, thank you so much for coming. It's such a pleasure hosting you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Always. So first off, right off the bat, tell me a bit about Plant Jammer, what it is, and what's your mission?
Yeah, as we help people cook. It's very simple that way. You have a food industry that's been spending the last 50 years telling people, if you cook, you're probably going to mess up, so buy this product.
Yeah.
Right, and we're doing the opposite. We're actually telling people where you can cook, and you need a few tricks, and then you can cook different things every day and make something exciting. And we believe that if we can empower them in doing so, they will also do all the things that's good for themselves and the planet.
Yeah.
So we help them stop food waste. We help them eat more greens, eat less meat, because it's better for themselves and the planet.
Yes, and there is really a focus on vegetarian cooking, right, in your app or... Yep.
Exactly. So we started off saying, what are the actions you can do as an individual that can make for a more sustainable planet? And one of the big ones is the way you eat, and one of the big fun things within eating is reducing your meat consumption. We don't believe in religion. We don't believe that you should necessarily go vegan. It's great if you do, but you don't have to. I don't. But if you can just reduce your meat consumption once a week or twice a week or 4 times a week, that would be great.
Yeah. And it started off, how many, was it 4 years ago now?
Yeah, right, 2016.
And it was, the original idea was an app, right? And it still is at the moment, an app.
Yeah, so exactly. So we started off with saying, we want to just empower people, and we're going to create an app for that, because that can, reach a billion people. I think along the way we've learned that, the product itself is going well. We had a little bit more than 1 million downloads, a bit more than 150,000 active users, so it's going well. But we also realized we're probably not going to reach 1 billion people this way, and we want to impact the way 1 billion people eat. So we also packaged the API, so the database that makes the app, and we're now supplying that to businesses to make their own recipe experiences based on our technology.
Yes.
So that we can have all those distribution channels with our technology, so we can touch that 1 billion people.
And that's a recent development, actually, right? We are going to get into that because it's also tied to your new funding round, I believe, with Miele and Dr.
Dr. and Miele,
yeah, that's correct. I think we always had it in the strategy.
Okay.
To be honest, it's happening now also after the funding round, but it was always part of our pitch deck.
Okay.
It was always part
all
of
the
our
way from the beginning, actually.
No.
Okay.
We do not. I did not wake up one morning and just have this is what's going to happen in 4 years.
No.
So it was a learning experience. We got to that, but I think it's at least 1.5 years ago that we realized that this was the right direction to go if we're going to have the impact we wanted.
All right. So can you tell us about your funding journey so far? Because we really want to get closer to that, get some transparency, hear from you, a bit of your insights, and how's it been? Yeah,
I think it's been a little bit textbook, meaning that it started off with I had a fine corporate job, worked in McKinsey and then Novozymes, so I had a bit of cash, so I could sort of start off building something, which was find someone on Upwork in Bangladesh who could build a website for $5,000.
All right.
But got enough to sort of show someone this is what I'm doing, and then the first thing you go for is friends, families, and fools, as they say. So the first thing was a few friends I trusted and believed in, not fools. And I got a few angel investors in from the quite early stage to sort of get us to sort of somewhat of a product market fit. So we had 3 angel investors early. People who trusted me, basically said, okay, Michael, I kind of believe in what you're doing, but also I believe in you, that you can sort of make something happen.
Yeah.
Did you know them or personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one was a former colleague of mine from McKinsey who I worked with. We were sort of in the trenches together back then.
Yeah.
It's actually Christian Arnstedt, who's also in Løvenskiold.
All right. Yeah.
And then there were some other people sort of come on along the way who had a similar vision for where we wanted to go. So we did that to get to a certain sort of degree of product market fit. And then at some point we needed more cash to build this. People get this wrong sometimes. A tech product is not cheap to build.
No.
It's almost as expensive as building a mine or a factory.
Yeah. So I think that's a wake-up call a lot of people are getting in the tech industry.
The thing is just, if I have an idea, then it's always an app almost. So you need some cash. So what we did along the way was getting corporate partners in, because we realized early that actually there are a lot of people who are in line with our vision, and who are invested in companies like ours succeeding. So we started identifying those bigger companies and got them involved. The particular two examples being Miele, the big kitchen equipment player, and Dr. Oetker, who's in the food space in general. You might not just know them from shake and bake and frozen pizzas, but they do a lot more.
And that's, would you say, because it's a little bit specific to your case, maybe this approaching corporate investors, I would say the more regular route is for early stage startups to go to first angel and then VCs, etc. But how did you go about this approaching corporate investors? Is it very different from angels or VCs, or?
It definitely is. I think the way we went about it was basically we started off because we had this vision of saying we want to partner with companies that win when we win. That's a general great question for yourself to ask as a startup is, if we win, who wins? Because those are probably both good partners but also good investors. And that's how it started. So we thought, if we win, then people cook more. There's going to be a kitchen, so that means people who make kitchen equipment and stuff like this, like Miele, they will be winning. If people continue to not just do takeaway in restaurants but cook at home, they're also going to need convenient products around that. So that's companies like Dr. Oetker, right? And that sort of got us to conversations with these companies about our product. So talking about, what can we do? And then as we're talking about that, you see the glimmer in their eye about, this is actually something we've been trying to build for years and couldn't. And that's when it starts going from a customer conversation to an investor conversation. So it's really been that way. We didn't look for funding in any of these cases. We were looking for customers, and they happened to be so excited as customers that they wanted to be investors.
Okay. So it kind of flipped the relationship throughout time, basically.
You could say it's the 2.0 version of a customer. It's a customer who's so excited about what they're getting that they want to invest in you getting even more customers getting this amazing product, right? So it is sort of almost the pinnacle of a happy customer.
I would imagine if I was a startup approaching a corporate investor, I think the power is a little bit stronger in them maybe shaping the product how they want it to serve them, right? How did you go about that actually?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an ongoing debate. It's something I've been saying from day one, and we've been debating about from day one as well, that it's super important that we build something that is creating a scalable solution for the world, not just for them.
Yeah.
And that goes for investors, but it also goes generally when you're going B2B. That if you're selling to a company, the bigger the ticket size becomes of that company, meaning how much they can pay for your product, the more they will also are more likely to want some sort of personalization and tailoring. And the more you tailor it for a particular case, the less scalable it is. So that trade-off will always be there. And that's the danger of both getting investors in who are big, but also getting customers in. And you need to be super specific and draw a clear line in the sand of like, this is the format of our corporation. Yeah. You're investing in us because you believe in what we're doing, so you should not change what we're doing. And you're investing in us as a team, so you should also trust in the team and what we're deciding. And that has to be super clear. I think it's very common that investors are unhappy if they feel like they have to be managers. They actually like the fact that they're investing in people who are doing the decisions more than anything else, and they are put in for advice.
That's actually what I was thinking about. Like, so after you got your corporate investors, since they are a bigger size, probably a lot of competencies as well. Did you feel they had like a lot of suggestions or tried like to steer your strategy in another way or influence it at least?
To be honest, no. I think from day one it's been very clear, sort of that it's a company that we drive, and they're investing in that journey. Yeah, and they're happy because we are involving them in a lot of decisions for good advice, but we're also telling them where we need their advice and where we don't. And I think so far so good. things are going well, the metrics are looking good. That makes it easier to have the trust.
Yeah.
And then you get sort of a license to make your own decisions. And it's one of the most important jobs for a founder when you start getting bigger investors in who are have bigger shares, to make sure you manage your investors, you manage your board, and it's not the board or the investors managing you. And the major way of doing that is to draw up the map and tell them, here you can make a decision between A and B, and not here. No. Right.
So that's basically what you did. Like, you were very clear about this is how it's going to work out.
Yeah, and it's a continuous basis. You can say something up front, but it has to be managed throughout. So every board meeting is a part of that, of sort of managing, what are decisions and what are not decisions in this forum, right? Yeah. Because the risk is there, and no one wins the moment that you are leaving the driver's seat for the board or the investors. Because no matter how smart those investors or that board is, they're not spending 80 hours a week in your startup.
No,
you
that's
are.
the thing.
So you will know more. You have more context. You will know more about the customers. You will know more about the product than anyone else in the world, including your investors. So if you cannot leverage that information to guide, then they will start doubting whether you're the right one.